So as of now, we talk about the try catch block. Now we are going to talk about throws and throws keyword in Java exception. What is throw and throws exception? Throw is a keyword you use to throw any type of exception. You can throw in a user-defined exception and you can throw system-defined exceptions. System-defined exceptions are checked, unchecked, and exceptions. User-defined are the custom-defined, custom exceptions. That is called throw. Whenever you want to throw an exception, like, as I give an example, the whenever you throw in a ball, you need to throw it, then only someone will catch it. How do you throw it? You need to use the keyword called throw. Throw is a singular, throws is a plural. Throws keyword used to tell that a method, a signature, when you're writing a method signature, you tell them this method can throw what are the exceptions it can throw. So here I have given example, public void method A. I use the word called throws, null pointer exception, no more funds exception. I can write as many exception as want. It means that this method might throw this kind of exception. You are letting to the people to know that whoever call this method, they definitely knows that this method is going to throw this exception. It means, so this is the method A. We are calling this method from a method B. So method B calls the method A. It means that method B has to have a try catch block of null pointer exception and no more funds exception. And also one more catch is the default catch is the exception class, superclass. Whenever we invoke this method A from method B, whenever you put a try catch block, then method A might throw, not all cases it will throw, might throw this kind of exception. You are already letting the method B knows that method A can throw this kind of exception. Within method A, whenever you want to throw exception, we use a word called throw and throw the null pointer exception or no more funds exception. Let's take an example of this class. Okay. Suppose you defined a, so here if you see here, are you able to see my screen, right, completely? Is it program visible to you?
No, sir, we have to zoom a little bit.
Yeah, if you can zoom it, it will be better. Yeah. So if you see here, I have defined a package. We talked about packages, user exceptions, and user defined exception is equal to no more funds exception. User defined exception, I define no more fund exception. Extend the superclass exception by using a extends keyword. I define a public class, no more funds exception, extends exception class. Means this is a superclass. I need all. Whenever you want to write a user defined exception, you always need to extend from the superclass exceptions. And you define the one string exception message type. One is the exception code. Default, pretty much most of the code will be like this one. And you write the constructor for this class. No more funds exception. You take a parameter, string, message type, and int code. And you call the superclass, super constructor. And this is optional, but calling is always the good. So this is you define exception class. You're not doing anything. So I have, for testing needs, I created object, but for right now, no need to focus on the main method because we are not going to call the main method from here. You define an exception class. Now, I have defined another package called funds transfer. See that this class is in the user exception package, this class in the funds exception package. And I imported this class. Import user exceptions dot no more funds exception. I imported this class in this class. because when they are in different package, you need to use the imports. Then only it will be available for this class. We want to let the program know that to use this no more fund exception where it is available. It is available in the fund transfer. It is available in the user exceptions. And here, public class test throw exception. I wrote one more class throw exceptions, testing the throw exception class, assuming that bank transfer, right? Maybe you can call it a public class bank transfer. Public void transfer funds. Whenever you want to transfer funds, I need to know that from account number, from routing number, int to account number, routing number, to account routing number, and int amount, what amount you want to throw. And this class will throw in a no more fund exceptions. I'm defining already no more funds exception will be thrown this class. So now we need to write this method. Transfer funds from account to account. That is the functionality of this function. Transfer amount, we are trying to transfer 2000 rupees from account number to account number. That's what we want to do it, because this amount is 200, assuming $2000, 2000 rupees. So what you do, right? Int from account. So we check the balance of the from account. We came to know that it is a assuming that it has $1000 in the account. If from account is equal to validate the funds are available in the transfer. We check the if condition, whether the amount is available in the amount available in the bank account versus how much money we need to transfer. We check that whether this amount is available. So that funds are available. So funds are greater than what you are expected to transfer. Funds are available. So funds are available in a from account number. So we can transfer the money to account number. Let's transfer the money from account to account. This is a happy scenario. Means we have a funds. We transferred it. Else, the amount is in the account is less than the what you are expected to transfer. Suppose you get into that else condition part, unhappy path. Oh, from account does not have enough funds, so that do not transfer the money and throw an exception to the user. So we need to tell the user to say that funds are not. So what you do, right? I use a word called throw. I create object new, no more fund exception, no more fund exception. I give the string no more fund exception, and I give a code. I can define different names also. No more fund exception, card is not valid. I give a number. No more fund exception, card has been expired. I give a different code. Codes will help you to check that both are same, string or code, both are same. Code sometimes helps you to easily identify the what kind of an exception it is. Even if you don't write the code, with a string also we can find it out. But having a code is always the better numerical value for the exception type. So in this case, fund transfer function, in happy case, funds are available, it does it most of the cases. Very rare cases, it may come into the throws else conditions. Throw board use and new custom. This is the custom exception you are throwing it. System exception, you don't need to throw. Java will take care of it. Default. So throwing a new no more fund exception. Since I put a throw no more fund exception, that is a reason whenever I use a throw in this class, I need to have a throws in the transfer function. Throws is better. You don't need to write throws class, throws keyword here, but letting you know that this function might throw no more fund exception in some condition. Not every condition throws it. Some condition throws it. So far you are with me. Now I wrote a public static void main method. It doesn't mean that when I'm writing an actual web application, and I may not have a public static void main. Whole application, only one public static void main method will be there. And any other functionality, we try to call the transfer funds. So I created a object for the test throw exception is equal to new test throw exception, and I invoke a method called transfer funds. I pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as account code, 0011 as a routing number, 7890 is a 2 account number, and 2 routing number, and 2000 rupees. Calling a transfer fund method. I'm calling this method. And since I'm calling this method, I need to have a try catch block. I put a try catch, and in the try catch, I'm catching this exception. No more fund exceptions, and no more object. And I'm printing the what exception message, what exception code I'm printing it. As soon as I invoke this money, and this will go into this function, it try to do the work, what it's supposed to do, and it might transfer the funds and it may not transfer the funds. If it is transferring the funds, the request will not come to this exception block at all. It will jump onto the end of the catch block. If this method throws an exception, the request will go to this catch block. And it prints the 2 lines. It won't go to this catch block because it will end catch block here and jump to the all the catch blocks and move forward. If this method is not throwing a no more fund exception, it throw any system exceptions. Then in that case, when you are invoking this method has thrown a system exception. Then request will not go to here, directly jump onto this main exception class, because this is the master exception catch block. It will catches the any type of exceptions. Even if you don't write this exception, this catch block, only simply writing this one is good enough to catch the exception. But you don't know what kind of a exception code and exception message. You might know exception message type because this exception message you are already calling the super constructor. You see that you are calling a super constructor means you are passing this data to the exception super class, and you might know that the message is no more funds available, but you may not know the code because this exception class don't know about this integer. It only knows about the exception type because you are calling a super constructor. You are setting the exception class as a variable. You are trying to pass the same data. So what I want to say here is, whenever you throw an exception, you need to catch it always, and you define the catch block, what exception it is throwing. If you don't know what kind of exception it is throwing, you put a you write a general catch block. It will throw all the exception. That will help you. Your JVM will not stop working. As soon as you catch it, it jump onto the catch block and try to go on to the next program of execution. Next line of program of execution. Otherwise, the JVM will stop working and your program will stop. So as we talked about in the whole exceptions, I'm summarizing all the information one more time. We talked about uh, errors versus exception. Errors are the throw by the JVM. Whenever error occurred, the JVM will stop working. There is no option. We need to deal with errors. Exceptions. Whenever there is an exception occurred, you have an opportunity to catch it and you have an opportunity to handle the exception. If you don't catch and handle the exception, the JVM also will stops working. Your Java program stops. And we talked about exception types. User-defined exception, system-defined exception. In the system-defined, we have a checked exception, unchecked exception. Checked exception detected by the Java compiler. Whenever you compile the code, it tells that there is a problem. you need to have a try catch block. Unchecked exception, we don't know. Java runtime environment will throw this during a program execution. That will be, if you don't catch it, program will stop it. So this is the difference between checked and unchecked. This will be detected by compiler. This is the unchecked will be detected during program execution. And we have a talked about try and catch block. Try and catch block. Whenever you want to catch an exception, we need to have this try catch block. And within the try catch block, we need to write a code so that exception will be catched here. So we talked about new keywords, try. We talked about new keyword catch. And we talked about one more is the finally block. Finally block is the name itself is finally will be executed in the last. Whenever you want to write a finally block in any method, we must have a try catch block already in the top. The finally block will help you. It doesn't matter the method throws an exception or not. Irrespective of that, these lines of code will be executed. In this case, suppose in the try catch block, I have 4 lines. Second line, we got exception. Third and fourth line will not execute, jump onto the catch blocks. It skips the program. But a finally black is an optional. You don't need to mandate to write it. But if you write and you generally, these lines will be executed. Generally, we use this finally block to close up any connections, clean up any resources. These kind of things we will use it, finally block, most of the cases. Anything you want to execute a line of a code that mandatorily need to be executed, irrespective of you get exception or not, you put it in the finally block in your method. You see that method signature is changing every day. The way you write a program, it will keep on changing. Most of the functionality we develop in the real projects definitely will have a try catch blocks, and also it will have a throw and throws keywords. Every method, whatever you write in a real program, you will have this throws and throw and throws and try catch block. Without this, it is cannot write a program at all, because you need to handle the alternative paths of the program. Alternative scenarios we need to cover. That is the reason we need to handle the exceptions, and we need to throw in exceptions. Then only there is a meaningful of programming development, irrespective of any language, either it is a Java or Python, .NET, C Sharp, what VB, any programming language, we need to have try catch. This is the basic concepts of any programming language. I'm not telling this is only for Java. Even you do this try catch block in your day-to-day life every day, but we don't realize that we are throwing an exception, we are catching exception. I give an example yesterday, like, when you are going for a movie and your tickets are not available as soon as you reach the theater, you try to go for an alternative ways. If the car is breakdown, you try to take an auto, go to the movie theater, or to catch the bus. You always do in a day-to-day life also. We are doing this kind of work, but we don't realize that I'm mapping the real life scenarios to the programming world. By telling this is the end of the exception handling mechanism in the Java. The recap is that we have introduced a few more keywords with a try, and we introduce a catch, we introduced a finally object, finally block, we introduced a throw, and we also talked about throws keywords, and we talked about the superclass is called exceptions. That is the summary of the exception handling in Java programming language. If no more questions from anyone, I will pause for any questions for anyone so that I can answer it. So instead of reading and understanding, I want you to digest the information, the knowledge which I'm sharing, so that it will store in your brain forever. Even if you read it, you should be able to recollect the information. Feel free to ask any more questions to clarity on this. Digest the knowledge as much as possible.
Sir, a question.
Sham, just
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, while using triclass method, it is best